Hi ladies, this is Krista and welcome to the Feminine TakeOff. Ladies, today's video is actually going to be all about self-love. What if self-love is not about just going shopping, relaxing, or even like affirmations and telling yourself nice things? What if self-love is the ability to retrain yourself, re-raise yourself with the gentleness, the wisdom, the love that you felt you needed growing up by the people who raised you that you felt like you may have not gotten, okay? So today's video is going to be about how to re-raise yourself, how to truly give yourself that self-love, that thing that you felt if you would have had growing up, your life will be different. Your life will be better now. And instead of pouring more things that are not even necessary for you to pour into yourself, we're going to focus on how you can pour into yourself, truly self-care and self-love in a way that benefits you, in a way that benefits your household, your community, your friends group that you are part of, you overall in general. Alright ladies, so I wrote a few points here that I will be talking about regarding how to truly begin your journey of self-love and how to own that journey and to make it in a way that is specifically tailored to you and not anything in between, so that you can truly get what you need to get out of it without feeling like you're pouring a band-aid on top of a wound that doesn't seem to heal. Let's now today discuss on how you're going to heal your wounds yourself and give yourself the love that you've always wanted, that you've always needed from yourself. So that leads me on to my first point. Point number one being redefining self-love. So when I say redefining self-love, think of self-love as reparenting yourself. Imagine that you woke up and you realize that you were pregnant with a baby, and that baby is you. Okay, so you are also the parent, but you are also the baby. That is truly a blessing, because you know they always say you want something done the right way, do it yourself. So you want to be loved the right way, in the way that you think you need it, do it yourself. So let's say that you woke up one day and you're pregnant, and that baby that you're raising is actually baby you. How will you now raise baby you with the tools that you have and the tools that you're going to try to acquire to have to raise baby you? And so that means that self-love runs deeper. That means that self-love is going to require a new meaning of being able to give yourself those emotional, physical, mental, even financial needs that you needed as a child that you didn't have, that you know deep in your heart that if you somehow either healed from that or reparented yourself with additional tools, you will be able to feel a lot better as an adult, or you will be able to maneuver perhaps easier in society as an adult. So point number one is, first, just redefine what self-love is to you in a way to give you the mental, emotional, physical, or even financial tools that you wish you were taught when you are a baby you know, a younger version of you. Now that you know better, now that you know what you needed, you're gonna start giving yourself those things, because that's what self-love is, right? Self-love is giving someone the things that they need that will make them better. What is a better way to do that than you knowing what you need and to reparent and give yourself those things? So let's say that you needed better financial education that you didn't get from your parents or from the people who raised you, maybe because they didn't know any better or whatever the circumstances are. Now that you are an adult, it is now your responsibility to show yourself that you love yourself enough that you're able to either go educate yourself, enroll in a financial course or classes, or find ways to actually now get that financial literacy that you wish you were taught, because now you're older, you know better, and you have better control. Okay, so now ladies, let's move on to point number two. What is self-love, and how do we actually truly give ourselves that in a way that is conducive? since we've redefined self-love in point number 1, now that we've decided, okay, we're gonna be the parent and we're also gonna be the child, now we're gonna reparent in the best way that we thought we truly needed. Okay, and it starts very early on. So again, let's find out that you're pregnant and you're like, oh, I'm pregnant and it's baby me. Now that I know better, you know everything you're gonna go through or have been through that you are also struggling with in your present life, and you realize, how could I have been better equipped with this? Think about early on what you even exposed baby you to, baby you that's even in the womb, right? So what kind of music are you going to introduce the baby you to? Are you going to listen to music that's just loud, obnoxious, insulting to you, insulting to people you love or people who are in your image? If you're listening to a song that's saying like, you know, if you, let's say hypothetically, you are a dark-skinned woman and you are listening to songs that are saying, well, if this woman is not dark-skinned, then she's not beautiful. Are you going to show yourself that you love baby you by allowing baby you to listen to those types of musics? Hopefully not, right? So what are you going to even expose that baby you to? As simple as music that they listen to. Simple things like even vitamins. What are you gonna expose baby you to as far as supplements, vitamins that are good for you, diet, overall food that are good for you? Are you gonna feed baby you food that gives an upset stomach? Hopefully not, right? Because you're parenting you and you're giving yourself the things that you felt you needed. So now is the time to truly do it and mean it. And ladies, how would you handle baby you's stress and challenges as you are now growing up? Even if you're an adult, we're gonna pretend that you're still a baby, that you are raising yourself, right? So how would you handle baby you's financial stress, school stress from peers, friendships, and even heartbreaks? How are you gonna reteach yourself, heal, and relearn the things that you wish you learned when you were that young, right? There's no right or wrong way to do it, but there is a way that tells you, hey, I may have not received the things that I needed when I was a kid, but now that I'm able to reparent myself, I can actually give myself not only the things that I needed, but I can give myself those things in a much better light, in a more clear light, okay? It's like you're getting a redo all over again. And ladies, as you're reparenting yourself, one of the most important things that I want you to ask yourself is, if I were my own parent, how would I protect, teach, and nurture myself and love myself? That's how you will self-care. Okay, so now let's move on to point number 3. Point number 3 is discipline of self-love, right? So we've talked about how we're going to redefine the term self-love, and then we're also going to reparent ourselves, right? But when you're reparenting, you still need discipline. Okay, a good parent disciplines their children. Just because you're the parent now doesn't mean that you're going to let your kid or the baby you, which is you, run around, eat ice cream at 3 o'clock in the morning, watch whatever movie you want to watch, not do well in school, and just do whatever you want, right? I mean, well, you can do that, but again, that beats the purpose of self-love, right? Because you want to do things perhaps a little better than the people who were in charge of taking care of you initially were able to, for whatever reason. So a good example in how you can do that is remembering that you shouldn't give yourself everything that you want when you're self-caring. Okay, I'll give you an example. So let's say that baby you, when you were in 5th grade, you needed a pair of shoes that you could not afford. Or that your parents could not afford. So that experience of you needing those shoes, you went and told your parents that, hey, mom and dad, like, I needed new shoes. There are holes in the shoes that I have. And let's say that your parents scorned you. Let's say that your parents said, what do you think I'm made of? A money tree? Or, you know, your shoes that you have are fine. Just go to school, even though you're being picked on. So you have that wound already in your body, right? So now that we are reparenting ourselves and giving a better definition for self-love, and instead of, let's say that you are in the same situation, you still don't have money to buy those shoes, but now that you're reparenting yourself, you can say, baby me, I love you. less option for a newer shoe, but that is not of that price point, because you're teaching yourself still the importance of giving yourself the things that you need and not only the things that you want. Because let's say that you run and you're like, you know what, I really wanted those shoes and my parents didn't get it for me, so now that I'm an adult, or now that I'm self-caring, I'm able to provide myself, I'm just gonna run and get those shoes. But let's say that you haven't looked over your finances, so you don't know if you can even afford those shoes, or you know that you cannot afford those shoes. Are you gonna run and give yourself the shoes just to prove a point, just to say, oh, I'm doing what my parents didn't do? No, you're still gonna find a better way to heal that wound without hurting yourself in the long run, without breaking the bank. So again, another way to do that is just to say, let's find a better shoe. Let's go to a cheaper store, or let's find a lightly used version of that shoe. Or you know what? Maybe we're gonna sacrifice matcha every week for a month so we can get the shoes, depending on how expensive the shoes are. If your shoes cost more than a month worth of matcha, then you're gonna have to substitute and give yourself whatever else. You are in charge here, so you get to give yourself whatever meaning you need to get this. But you understand the point. The point is not that, okay, I'm gonna self-care, so I'm gonna give myself everything that I wanted. No, you're still disciplining yourself, you're still caring for yourself and giving yourself the things that you need and want, but not at the detriment of your future self or your present self, right? So let's say that you needed the shoes, but you know that if you buy those shoes, you're not going to be able to afford your mortgage or your rent. You're not going to buy those shoes to spite your parents who couldn't get you the shoes, or just to say, oh, I gave myself that void. That wouldn't be conducive to you, right? Just remember that true love says, I see your pain and I will guide you wisely. True love doesn't just throw things at you. True love understands what it is that you need. It understands that it goes deeper. It looks at the problem and dive even deeper on what the problem is beyond the surface. And it tries to heal and protect you and try to give yourself the things that you truly, truly need, not the things that you want or the superficial things, right? But again, if you want to buy yourself the shoe, sometimes you gotta treat yourself. Sometimes it's not even about thinking that deep ahead. Sometimes you just have to treat yourself. But remember, if you keep saying, I'm gonna treat myself, I'm gonna treat myself, well, when do you truly heal if you're just treating yourself, right? So just keep that in mind. So now let's move on to point number 4. Point number 4 in giving self-care, self-love, an actual accurate meaning that is better for you. Point number 4 is to remind you that self-love means repair and not reward. Because I've done this, I'm sure we've all done this, where again, back to the shoe example, right? I want these shoes, I need these shoes. When I was in the 5th grade, I didn't get the shoe or the toy. Everybody made fun of me, so I carry that wound, that pain. And so now that I'm older, I'm gonna get those shoes no matter what. Instead of saying, you know what? How did the feeling of me not getting this thing that I wanted, and how can I heal myself from it overall, that no matter what it is in the future, there's always going to be something that you don't want. Ladies, leave it up to me. I will be on a yacht somewhere with a prince that is a husband of mine, okay? But I can't have that right now. So what am I going to do? Am I going to go break the bank and go rent a yacht and just lay in it, hopefully imagining a prince? No, I'm gonna tell myself, what is it? What makes me feel like the yacht is something that I truly want or that I didn't have, that's making me crave that? And I try to heal that wound and give myself another version of it that doesn't break the bank, but that gets me a step closer to that big dream, okay? Again, remember, self-love is repair and not reward. And many ways that you can repair instead of just giving yourself a reward is to say, instead of saying, I'm gonna throw what you wanted at you when you were a kid, now as an adult that we're able to give ourselves that, instead of saying that, you can say, I'm sorry that happened. Let's now prevent it from happening again. Either that embarrassment, that lack, that pain. Let's journal about it. Let's journal our deeper feelings about it so we can actually understand why it hurts so much. Let's enroll in therapy so that a professional can actually talk to us a little bit deeper and try to uncover the true reasons for that pain, or try to heal that pain overall. Okay, so again, you don't have to reward yourself. You just have to be able to repair yourself. So now let's move on to point number 5. Point number 5 is less self-care in the feminine and mature way. Okay, so we're gonna take a really feminine and mature approach of this. The reason why I say feminine is because just because we're self-caring doesn't mean that we're gonna have to be dual surgeon and say, okay, we're gonna reparent ourselves, let's do this other way and heal. Again, it doesn't have to be rigid, right? It can be very fluid, but we're gonna bring maturity to it as well, because I've talked about this in a older video of mine. There's a difference between being girly and being feminine. A girly girl likes the pink things, likes the nice things, but a feminine woman is a true woman. She's grounded, she has discipline, she has more peace and structure in her life. What do I mean by feminine and mature way? Well, let's talk about it. Ladies, femininity is not about just the soft outside, it's about the wisdom within, right? I've said this many times. You are not feminine unless you're able to bring yourself peace. Now, peace doesn't mean that you're not going through difficult parts of your life and periods and times of your life, but you're able to still have a structure for peace no matter what you're going through, whether it is a storm, whether it is a heartbreak, whether it is hardship, financial hardship, marital hardship, relationship hardship. Well, I would say I don't have, unless it's like a platonic, like my girlfriend's relationship, I don't have relational hardship with men. If I'm not married to you, there's no reason why I'm in a hardship. I'm sorry. I don't live my life that way. But again, it's up to you. Not everyone has to have the same rules and guidelines as me, but just remember, when you're thinking of hardship, try to remember that the relationship that you are going through that hardship with, what has that relationship done to honor you and to protect you? Okay, if you're struggling with someone who has not even honored you enough to be your husband, or giving you any peace or safety and structure and hard ground to step on, why are you stepping into pain and hardship with them? But again, it's here with the Feminine Takeoff, we take off to better ourselves, and we understand that femininity has many faces and femininity has many avenues. What works for me might not always work for you. What works for you might not work for another person or me as well, you know? So it's up to you. But just remember that you're going to need structure and wisdom to deal with whatever is in front of you as a feminine woman, to understand what it is exactly that you need. Going back to wisdom, right? Let's say you have a wound that needs cleaning before you put the band-aid on. If you just slap a band-aid on, and if you just go to that shopping spree and just did whatever you want, bought yourself whatever you want, you didn't heal the wound, right? You just slapped the band-aid on it. But if you clean that wound, if you sat and you're like, why did I feel that pain? You cried about it, you journaled about it, you went to therapy or counseling about it. That is your way of cleaning the wound truly before you can put the band-aid on it so it can heal. So just see it that way. Or another example of a feminine approach is, let's say you have a headache and then you go and you take stomach ache medicine, right? It's not gonna work. You're gonna probably have a stomach ache because you just took something that might upset your stomach because your stomach didn't need it to begin with, right? But let's say that you sat and you're like, you know what, this pain is coming from my head. Last time I had this feeling, I went and I took a specific medicine for this headache. what you're telling yourself is, I love myself, I care about myself, to sit with myself and understand the things that I need, not just throwing different random things at yourself hoping that it will stick. That's a waste of time, a waste of resources, and just a waste overall. You could be spending your time doing so much more productive and better things when you understand what it is that you need. You give yourself those things and then you move forward. All right, and then you go and go to the spa and go shopping or whatever it is that you need to do. And so remember, ladies, that true self-care, true feminine maturity requires honesty. You cannot avoid discomfort, okay? All you can do is face it with honesty and treat it with grace. Give yourself grace, give yourself that gentleness, but still face it. Understand it instead of avoiding it. All right, ladies. So now let's move on to point number 6. Point number 6 is, remember that you have access to tools. This is so important because, you know, I just had a conversation with my mother. I brought something up that really hurt me that she did, and she handled it with so much grace. And before that, in the beginning of the conversation, she told me that she would watch YouTube videos on how to be a better person, how to be a better mom. Even though we're grown and we are not under her care, we actually take care of her. She just decided to do some more inner work, basically. So the conversation began with her sharing with me that she was working on her inner self, and so that made me feel safe enough to bring that up to her. And she handled it in a way, and she said, you know what, I just didn't know any better, and I wish that I had the internet and better tools to research certain things. That I just wish I had the tools to do or find ways to do things better, but I just didn't. And it got me to thinking that, ladies, let's say you need to know how to be more feminine. You go on YouTube and you type how to be feminine. That's probably how you found my channel, or channels that are similar to this, right? Or let's say you need to tie a ribbon. Like last time, like a few days ago, I needed to know how to retie a ribbon because I guess it's something you forget. I didn't realize once you if you tie ribbons, if you're not very good, like I'm not very good, you can forget. So anyway, I forgot how to tie a ribbon like a specific way. And so what did I do? I went and I typed how to tie a ribbon. I saw a video. I was able to slow the video down, rewind it, fast forward it, and so on and forth. And I was thinking, our mothers or the people before us didn't have this opportunity. This is a very, very new thing. Being able to just search something or have access to something so easily, global things from all over the world. Please excuse me, ladies. All right, my throat was dry. But as I was saying, we didn't always have access to tools and information, okay? So now that you are reparenting yourself, retraining yourself, understand that you have access to so many tools, not only just the internet, but even like therapy. Before, therapists used to be so expensive. A lot of these tools might be accessible but expensive back in the day, but now you can get therapy for free. So ladies, when you go through whatever trauma you go through, instead of worrying, oh my god, I can't even afford a therapist, now you can. If you can't afford a therapist, there are licensed professionals that have YouTube channels. But the whole point of this part of the video is to tell you that you have access. And remember the tools that you have, the tools that we have right now in the present moment. Our parents didn't have those tools. So even if they had very good intentions of raising us, sometimes maybe they just didn't know how. Didn't have the tools. So now that you have the tool, now that you know better and you have better, we can do better in reparenting ourselves, in re-raising ourselves, in truly giving ourselves the true definition of self-care, of caring, loving, raising, and nurturing ourselves. So in point number 6, just to recap, remember that you have access to tools that our parents didn't have, or if they had it, it was so expensive that insurance couldn't cover it. You know, things like therapy, things like inner work, healing, things like simple things like even just getting in a car, jumping on a plane. Back in the days, a lot of times our parents had to just drive or take the train or the bus. So just remember that in point number 6, you have the tools that the people before you did not have. So use it wisely, okay? So point number 7 is remember to self-reflect, okay? So a lot of times we talk about being self-aware, and self-awareness is good to understand what is happening around you and what you're doing. But self-reflection is a little bit deeper than that. It sits and asks yourself questions from within, not for you to fix yourself, but for you to have an understanding with yourself so you can have more peace and move forward with love, instead of just move forward thinking or feeling like you need to fix yourself to better someone else. Remember, ladies, that comfort heals you for a moment, but self-care, the true meaning of self-care that we've just given self-care, doing that will heal you for a lifetime. And not only will it heal you for a lifetime, but it's like a spider web. It will heal other people around you. I'll give you an example. You guys know I work in trade shows and events. If you don't know, I do. Ladies, I met someone at a conference a few days ago, and they were telling me that they were sober for 3 years. And I grew up in a family that kind of minimizes everything that you're doing, and it's not their fault. Hurt people, right? But for a long time, it was really, really important that I learn not to minimize myself and not to minimize people around me, because I knew that I was raised and I grew up with people who did that to me. And so because of that, I knew that I had the potential to do it to other people, because it's all I know, right? But because I've been doing so much inner work with myself, every little thing I'll do, I'll say, wow, Krista, good job, or I'm proud of you, or this is a big deal, right? Just so I don't minimize the things that I've achieved. And so it's just good for me to like hype myself up. And if you've noticed, if you've ever met me in real life, or those of you who know me in real life, or if you know me in real life, I love hyping people up. You have to be discerning with who you do that to, because some people might just present you with their bare minimum and expect you to hype them up. No, especially in dating, absolutely not. You have to be really mindful of, not to overdo it. But anyway, ladies, I don't know why, but when I was speaking to that person, I listened to them, and I could tell that maybe they felt like it wasn't a long time. And I just told them, you know what? 3 years is a really, really long time. And so I hope that you're proud of yourself. I didn't think much of it. We finished the conversation. I had to go and they had to go. So that was the end of it. And then I ran into them again at the very end of the conference. And they told me, thank you for spreading your kindness. And ladies, I just want to tell you, part of the reasons why I started Feminine TakeOff is because you guys know I have a background in aviation. I initially was studying to become a pilot, but because I cannot continue my school right now for many reasons, those of you who know me, you know. Those of you who don't know me, hopefully you get to know me a little bit more to know. I just don't want to talk about it in this video. But ladies, because I couldn't continue my school and my dreams of becoming a pilot, I had to think, what else am I good at? Or let's just say that I was a pilot. Beyond being a pilot, who else am I, and what else can I do? And so I thought, who am I? I'm a kind person, and I love spreading kindness. Okay, I love when people understand, not on the surface, not just throwing compliments at people, but true kindness. I love embodying it. I love spreading it. I love being in it. I love experiencing it myself. So that's why I created Feminine TakeOff, to be a place of encouragement, of kindness. And so ladies, after speaking to that person who told me thank you for spreading your kindness, just off the simple and sheer fact that I've acknowledged their journey to sobriety, it really reminded me of who I was, and it truly healed me too. It healed me to think, oh my God, when I was younger, the younger me, because I was minimized so much, maybe I'm sure there are people in my life who felt like, oh my God, I achieved something great, and Krista was just like, oh, okay. I worked so hard to be this version of myself who sees people as the whole of who they are, even when they don't see it, to spread the kindness that they are, the kind person that they are, to amplify it and show it back to them as their reflection. Okay, so when you self-care, that's what it's like. When you self-care, you're not only bettering yourself, but you're spreading whatever you decide to better or heal yourself from. You are spreading that positivity onto other people that are around you. Okay, if negativity bleeds and stains, so does positivity. All right, so that'll be all for today, ladies. Next time you think about self-care, don't think about giving yourself more only, but think about giving yourself better in all contexts of what that means to you. Go out there and give yourself better. That is the true meaning of self-care. As always, here with the Feminine Takeoff, we take off to better ourselves. Mwah.